in the EU, I mean, obviously there's a few different ways it's being rolled out across the various countries, but in general, there's been a big push to increase the participation in demand response. So we saw a interesting report a couple of weeks back presented at the NLIT conference in Paris from Elia Group, who are the transmission system operator in Belgium and Northeast Germany. And that was basically about the power, well, they called it the power of flex, but it was enabling the consumer to benefit from the energy transition. And what came out of that was a few things, but one of them was providing data to the end consumer. So that's really about transparency and saying, these are the opportunities. This is what you could be involved in. So to engage them, coupled with price signals and communicating that price signal back. So that coupled with things like the network code for demand side flexibility, which is currently under drafting with the EU, and I think it's a 2025 release. There's a real focus on demand response programs and markets across to Europe, and indeed the EU directive mandates that there should be a kind of markets first approach or market based approach to flexibility to ensure that the flex is accessed at least cost, which actually rolls nicely into my second one on non-firm connections, or the types of connections we have in the UK as an option for connecting parties. So potentially getting connected quicker, but with the caveat that it's non-firm and that you might be curtailed at various points. So again, in the EU, there are existing non-firm connection agreements in various countries, but there's not yet an alignment on it. And for example, in places like the Netherlands, there are no non-firm connections. So we have been following, let's say, numerous discussions on how those non-firm connections are aligned or otherwise to that idea that we should take a market-based approach to procuring flex. So that's about ensuring that we don't negatively impact the markets by allowing non-firm connections, or using that kind of curtailment option first. And for us, really, it's what we've said in the past a few times. If you've been kind of tracking our like approach to these things, it's about systems integration. So it's about having lots of different levers, so to speak, for the system operator. And the key part of that is to coordinate between the flex market platform and things like non-firm connections and other aspects. So yeah, interesting discussion going on in Europe about how those two things align. And it's something that we are big on in terms of a more holistic approach to flexibility and the whole systems thinking, so to speak, buzzwords, but it basically means that we're aligning the actions in the market with the other aspects at play.